Hi, my name is Tiffany. I'm a senior at Montrose High School, and for my internships this summer, I went to the University of Houston in Texas studying chemistry with Professor Baldelli and his research group. My chemistry was more of a physical chemistry, so physics and how it's applied within chemistry, so I worked with more lasers and optics. So my research project was based on this technique called ellipsometry. It's a technique used to analyze the change in polarization, which that change is then used to calculate the certain properties of measured materials. So certain things like thickness of very, very thin films or surfaces on a very microscopic level. And so my project was almost like a part two of another intern here, Seda, where she made very thin films and my job was to analyze for the thickness of it. So we're talking like 10, 20 nanometers using this technique called ellipsometry. So I would have my sample placed in the path of the laser, and as the laser passes through different polarizers and gets reflected, it passes through a rotating polarizer into a detector where the graph would be shown in data that I collected that we would be used to calculate the thickness. Polarization is essentially the property of electromagnetic waves. So depending on the amplitude of the waves, certain phase shifts, it would change the polarization of the light. So I mostly focused on linear, circular, and elliptical light, hence the name ellipsometry with the technique. And the changes in the amplitude and phase shift would be different depending on the material, and it would give us a different data set to collect. So a little bit of a project overview. Because the ellipsometer that I was using was so old, a big part of my project was to create the program and the interface on the computer that would automatically collect the data for us. The program that came with the ellipsometer was lost, so a big part of my project was having to design this. So using the Arduino Uno, some code, which I don't know how to code, so I had to learn that too during my internship, and some helpful resources online, I did end up creating an interface that more automated this process. So this is an example of the data that I collected and the code. My code collected 3 different inputs to the Arduino. One was the sine graph, a reference pulse, and a count pulse, and you can see the graph and the serial data of it. And an application of the data. So on the left, I have all of the graphs that I collected with the varying substances that I analyzed. So I have gold, a silicon wafer, a glass slide, and a commercial ITO. And to the right, it's a lot of math and really complicated math, but the equation at the top was what we had to fit my data and the sine graphs to in order to calculate the amplitude and phase shift change to get those varying thickness of the films. And then del and psi are essentially the amplitude and the phase shift calculations. One thing that I learned during this whole research process was that nothing goes the way that you want it to. I think almost every single week while I was there, I had something go wrong where I had to backstep, trace my steps back or fix something. One of the biggest ones was the light bulb on my ellipsometer. About 3-4 weeks into my internship, the light bulb died on me. And because it was so old, we couldn't find a replacement for it. So my professor told me that I had to build my own. He gave me a shell of a flashlight, some wires, a switch, and a power supply, and just told me to build it. But thankfully, throughout the weeks prior, I did learn how to solder wires, and he taught me more about kind of circuits and how that works. So in the end, I did make a pretty successful light bulb that is shown right there. Again, I did solder a bunch of wires. I did have to fix a lot, cut a lot of the wires on the ellipsometer to connect to my Arduino, which was really scary. But, and then here, that box was just organizing the relay, the Arduino, and all the wires that came out of it. What I learned, obviously, the biggest part was the chemistry. I also learned how to be more independent. I was away from home, away from my family, and I just didn't really know anyone there. It was an amazing experience to be able to live on the college campus, experience what it was like living at the dorms, eating in the dining halls, and all of that. The research process and overcoming the challenges that come with it, I didn't realize it was such a tedious process with a lot that you had to learn and think of all at once. New experiences, I presented quite a lot while I was there. One of the most amazing things that I got to do there was a poster presentation with other interns, and this is the poster that I created for that, containing all of my work. I got to present to undergraduate, graduate students, professors, pre-doctorates, and that was really amazing, as well as kind of finalize what I wanted to do for my future. This experience made me really realize that research is something that I want to do during college and possibly in the future as well. Why I would recommend this internship to other students who are considering doing it is you truly do get firsthand experience in a field you're interested in. You get to meet so many amazing people and work with so many professionals that have such a higher education and background in what you would like to learn more about. Again, that sense of independence and being on your own, whether you're living in dorms or with a host family, you are away from home and almost on your own, figuring out your own schedule and times and work. The connections that you can get from this, you will still be able to contact your professors for letters of recommendation, graduate students, fellow interns, fellow students, and that is truly amazing, as well as explore new areas and experience new things. The Pinhead internship is a very heavy emphasis on learning new things and being in a lab and doing things, but at the same time, you are most likely going to be in a new area you might not have been in before, and getting to know more people, and be in a different area is really something amazing. Advice for future Pinterns. Don't be afraid to ask questions. All of your mentors and everyone that you're working with understands that you are there to learn, and they will gladly help you out with that. Get involved, whether it's having lunch with your mentors or other students around you. Just say yes to everything and take the opportunities that you can. And as well as it's okay to make mistakes. I know I made a lot of them, and they're really there to support you and guide you through the mistakes that you made and learn from them. My time in Houston, on the left, I do have a picture of the UH dorms. They were really, really nice. I shared a private bathroom and restroom with my fellow roommates. I had 2 roommates, as well as explore Houston and get to try a lot of food, go to the museum, aquarium, and I got to meet all my fellow interns there. Thank you to everyone, Sarah Holbrook, the Pinhead Institute, for everything you have done to give me this opportunity. Thank you.